Is the world really outside you? What if I tell you, an awakened person experiences the world as himself? This video explains how it happens. Welcome back. You are listening to part 2 of Spanda Karakas, a powerful text from Kashmir Shaivism on the pulsating creative energy called Spanda within oneself and the outer world. In part 1, we explored section 1 of the text, dealing with the inner works that helps the practitioner to understand the dynamics of Spanda in her body and mind, and then realize oneself as Shiva himself. The method advocated for sadhana was Unmilana Samadhi, or introvertive meditation. For those who have not watched that video, the link is given in the description below. This podcast is based on section 2 of the text, which reveals the means to identify Spanda in the world at large. This section is titled The Rise of Pure Knowledge, which denotes a state of consciousness in which things are not perceived as separate from oneself despite all the seeming differences. Here the emphasis is on Shiva Vyapti, or the realization of the universe as self. The method advocated to achieve this realization is Unmilana Samadhi, or extroversive meditation, which is done with the eyes open. This will become clear as we proceed. There are only 7 verses in this section, but they are potent with explosive teaching that helps overcome all sorts of barriers we face in the outer world. So, let us go verse by verse. Do stick around until the end. Let the power of these verses sink in. Here are the first 2 verses, which equate mantras, or sacred formulae, with Shiva, the Supreme Self. Here they go. Taking refuge in the essence of Spanda, mantras are endowed with the power of omniscience. And they proceed to carry out their assigned functions towards the jivas or individual souls, just like the senses of these limited beings carry out their specific functions. After having done their assigned duties with absolute freedom, being free from all limitations, mantras get dissolved in the Spanda principle along with the mind of their devotees. Thus, they are of the nature of Shiva, just like Spanda. The question is, if both the senses and the mantras emanate from the Spanda principle, how is it that only mantras have the power of omniscience, not the senses? Kshemaraja, on whose commentary this video is based on, has offered this answer. Shiva is the abode of multiple energies through Spanda Shakti. This includes Maya Shakti, or the power of illusion. The mantras are formed by the pure knowledge of the Lord, with the essence of ether, while the senses are formed by his power of Maya. That's why senses lack the power of omniscience. Now let us move on to the next pair of verses. The limited individual self is identical with the whole universe to the extent of his knowledge about the universe. How? Because he has the sense of identity with all the entities of his knowledge, as words, thoughts, or objects. This example should give more clarity on these verses. You are thinking about the moon means thoughts about the moon have arisen within you. And you are identified yourself with the moon as long as those thoughts occupy your mind. In other words, you are virtually one with the moon during this period. Thus, an individual occupies every inch of his universe through his thoughts and experiences. He is omnipresent in his universe. This is the exact nature of Shiva, who is there through every thought thought of, every experience experienced, by every creature in the universe. He abides in the form of the whole universe as his field of experience. Thus, there is no state, whether it is a word, or object, or ideation, which is not Shiva. It means everything is Shiva. Another point to remember is that all objects are known to the individual only when they rest on consciousness, as support, not by themselves. Shiva is a compact mass of consciousness. So, one should identify oneself with consciousness, rather than the object in the consciousness. The individual in the form of consciousness is not different from Shiva. So, one should not regard oneself as imperfect, less than Shiva in any state. As every experience is experienced in consciousness, there is Shiva in every experience. This awareness removes the difference between the experiencer and the experienced. Thus, the individual realizes non-duality through experiences. Now let us see what the 5th verse reveals. The one who has realized the identity of his self with the whole universe, and remains constantly united with the divine, views the entire world as the play of the self. He is liberated while alive. There is no doubt about it, asserts this verse. Kshemaraja says such a realization is not easy to acquire. But the one who has realized it, has his consciousness always absorbed in the universal consciousness. Even while living, such a person is indeed liberated, and he can never suffer bondage. The next two verses reveal that this great realization is the means of the attainment of the desired object of all aspirants and teachers. Here is the translation of these verses. Only this realization brings about the manifestation of the object of meditation. The aspirant, with a resolute will, has the realization of his identity with that, which is the object of his meditation. This alone is the acquisition of ambrosia, leading to immortality. This alone is the realization of self. This alone is the initiation of liberation, leading to identity with Shiva. These verses imply that people meditate over mantras, aspiring for the manifestation of the deities embodied in those mantras, like a five-headed god. But the realization of one's identity with Shiva, who is a mass of consciousness and bliss, alone is the true manifestation of God. Other than this, there is no other nectar for immortality, no other diksha, or initiation, for liberation. Kshemaraja comments that one should worship Shiva by becoming Shiva. It happens with a resolute will of establishing oneself in the sense of, I am Shiva in the form of a mass of consciousness and bliss, and the whole universe is my body. The person, who establishes herself in this supreme principle, views every object in the universe as a form of Shiva Shakti, which is her true self. Thus, she attains a non-dual state, in every experience. Then, time cannot throttle her. She is liberated, enjoying full freedom. This is what enlightenment means. With this, part 2 of Spandakarikas is concluded. In part 3, we will explore sections 3 and 4 of this text, which describe the higher and the lower supernormal powers a person attains after realizing the Spanda principle. Subscribe and stay connected. Thank you.